What is up, guys? So obviously one of the biggest elephants in the room when getting the GT350 for the channel was like, why did I kind of do that? I mean, this is kind of a Corvette channel. We talk a lot about the C7 Corvette. We talked a lot about the C8 Corvette. It'd make a lot more sense for me to go down that route. And honestly, you know, that is something that I really heavily considered. I really had it at the end of the day compared to a GT350 and say a C7 Corvette. And one of the biggest reasons to get a GT350, besides the actual engine itself and how this car is and how it sounds, is the heritage. I really bought the heritage and how much Carroll Shelby actually influenced the car. If you don't know much about Carroll Shelby or what he did for Ford back in the day, when right after he won Le Mans, he did his 24 hours there. He, you know, went to go work with Ford after they approached him. They wanted to be Ferrari the 24 hours at Le Mans because, you know, Ferrari kind of went around their back and kind of stabbed them there. So they went to Carroll Shelby himself, the man known for performance and known for speed. And you know, he's something he did not take lightly. That's something, because when the Mustang came out, it was kind of looked at as that secretary's car. You know, not a lot of people really batted an eye over it. For some reason back in the day, you know, due to the lack of power and the lack of excitement from that, it was kind of viewed as more of that woman's car. It was not beefy whatsoever. So when Carroll Shelby came along, he created this GT350 and he created this GT500 model of the Mustang, and this really was the ticket. This was the ticket that really got a lot of people to fall in love with the Mustang. I mean, this is what we see today in the performance numbers, and it really drove that feud between, you know, Ford, Dodge that we see, and kind of created that. So this GT350, you can see it's something that they put a lot of effort into. Fast forward in 2016 or 2015 when it actually came out, they put a lot of effort into paying homage to Carroll Shelby himself, you know, and actually making this car really exclusive. You know, between the chassis number over there, or actually having like an exotic supercar, actually having the person who built the engines, you know, name on the actual engine itself is pretty impressive. I mean, this is something that really translates as well to how much the car is worth and how much the car is going to be appreciating or depreciating over time. You know, when we're talking about price, this car is a 2018. I paid $54,000, and when you think about it, it really hasn't depreciated that hard, and I don't think it will. Being the last of kind of a dying breed, having a manual, having a 5.2 liter V8 engine, having a flat plane crank really makes this kind of like a unicorn, and I feel like this car is going to really hold value for that, if not appreciate, you know, 10 years down the line. So with that being said, we can't talk about what makes this car beautiful and what makes this car really original without talking and addressing the fact of the engine. Being a 5.2 liter monster, or rather a voodoo monster, it really is some voodoo magic what you hear out of the exhaust. We're gonna down. Just because we don't want to get too crazy out here, that's just a little bit of what this car can do. And obviously, to bring a pro out with a con, this car has no low-end torque. Really, once you're below 4,000 RPMs, it kind of feels like I'm driving my Equinox again. And I'm paying a little bit of disrespect by saying that, but the car doesn't sound anything like an Equinox, and let's get that cleared up. And it definitely doesn't feel like one when you drive it. There's a lot of options that I kind of cared about. You know, I didn't care that much about the technology of this C7 C8 Corvette, because I know it had a lot more to it, say, than this. This car was kind of focused around the track, and I really love it for that. I love that I can really take this car into any corner that I want, and I'm really confident in it for that. Going back to exclusivity, you know, this is not a car that you see out there driving a lot. I mean, this is something that you kind of see every once in a while, and not a lot of people know it. So you're really buying this car, and I really bought this car because I wanted it, because, you know, every time that I go to the gas station, there are some people that it really turns their eyes if they hear the car, but they really don't bat an eye over it, because if you don't know what you're looking at, you kind of just looks like another Mustang. I mean, this kind of just looks like maybe I did some mods on it, maybe it looks a little aftermarket, because at the end of the day, a lot of GT owners throw, you know, the front bumper on that the GT350 has. It's not really well known unless you know what you're looking at. But with that being said, for the people who do know what they're looking at, I've loved having conversations with people at the gas station, and I haven't even owned it that long. I think I've owned it for about a month now. You know, we're going on 2 months next month. And I've pretty much every time I go out, I do get some head turns, and I don't know if that's just from the exhaust itself, which is an amazing exhaust, you know, we all know this, but, or it's from the actual knowing of what the car is and how special it is. A lot of this really just drive the reason for me to buy the car. You know, I obviously could have bought a C7 Z06, But that wasn't just something that, you know, I was piping up at that moment. It was something that I felt that the C8 had a lot more performance, and if I was going for performance, the C8 made a lot more sense. But the way that people are charging them, it makes no sense whatsoever to buy a C8 right now. All in all, I know you guys might not all agree with me. I think the GT350 was the best option for me. I hope you guys have liked the content so far, and I'm really excited to continue to bring this for you guys. So I hope you guys have a great one, and make sure to check out some of the other videos.